and worst fantasy manager of all time, Jordan Rourke. And on my other side, carrying a 2-4 fantasy record, it's Caden Hyde. Thank you guys for joining me today. Alrighty, getting right into the news. Arguably the biggest news in the football world at the moment, the Las Vegas Raiders and the New York Jets have officially shook hands, sending Davante Adams to the New York Jets in exchange for a third-round pick in the 2025 draft. About a week earlier, the Jets parted ways with head coach Robert Saleh. Since the acquisition of Aaron Rodgers in 2023, the Jets have also brought in Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Malik Taylor as targets for the quarterback, as well as a familiar face in Nathaniel Hackett calling the plays. With another one of Rodgers' teammates joining the group, is this enough to turn the Jets season around? Jordan, I'll start with you.
I think that this is enough to kind of turn their season around, but I don't think it's just because of the Davante Adams trade. I think it has a lot to do with Nathaniel Hackett being demoted as well, because he has proven time and time again in this league that he is just not the guy. He proved it in Denver. He's proven it in New York. Everyone thought in Denver that maybe, okay, it was a quarterback play issue. Maybe with Aaron Rodgers, he will be better, like how they were in Green Bay. But we see with New York that even with Aaron Rodgers, this guy still is just not a good play caller. He does not have a good system. And we're seeing that he was carried by Matt LaFleur in Green Bay.
Honestly, when I think of this Jets team, I don't think 7-10 has looked any better. I mean, this team is 22nd in yards and points, which is about the same as they were last year, with Zach Wilson starting as their quarterback, let alone a 4-time MVP. And just Rodgers, speaking of that 4-time MVP, Aaron Rodgers looks old, man. The O-line, he has a terrible O-line. He can't move the way he used to. He gets sacked the second highest in the league. I mean, just if this team wants to get better, they need to improve at the very groundworks of this team, which is the trenches. They need to get better in the offensive line to help better establish a running game, where Breece Hall is having a down season, relatively speaking, minus a few bangs in there. Braylon Allen's looked all right, might be taking his job soon. Look out for that. The defense is still amazing. They're 7th in points, 2nd in yards. But no matter what this defense is, if the offense can't step up and do something, this team is on track for another just outside the playoffs finish. And I mean, I agree that demoting Nathaniel Hackett is probably the best thing you can do. I want this man, if I'm a Jets fan, I want this guy as far away from my team as I can possibly get him.
I agree.
Let alone just demote him.
But I think especially with him gone, there is area that you can see the Jets offense is especially their run game last week against the Bills. Breece Hall finally had a good game for what felt like the first time in a long time. And with Davante Adams, it just makes things a lot easier for this offense. It creates more opportunities for Garrett Wilson, which people might think it doesn't. But just bringing a guy like Davante Adams in is just going to open this offense up to a whole new game. And I think it can allow the Jets to win at least 9 to 10 games this year.
But how can the Aaron Rodgers find Davante Adams if he still has a second and a half in the pocket before he has 3 defenders around him? I mean, it's having weapons is all great and good, but if you don't have an offensive line or anything to keep your quarterback upright,
I think they're going to have to rely a lot on the play action game, and they're going to have to establish the run first. They're going to have to rely a lot on play action and probably quick passes, because you're right, their offensive line is not good.
Well, it looks like we're going to be finding out Sunday night, gentlemen. Moving over to the NFC, it has been a rocky start on the west side of PA. After an end-of-season collapse that ended in a first-round exit of the playoffs, the Philadelphia Eagles are sitting at a 3-2 and second place in the NFC East. While at some points the team has looked fantastic, like dropping 34 points against the Packers in the season opener, and at other times not so much, like losing 33-16 against the Buccaneers. Recently, Lincoln Financial Field has been filled with Fire Sirianni chants. So what's the deal with the Eagles? How can this team become more consistent? And gentlemen, we have a special guest for this segment. We're going to send it over to Cam Macariola to learn more.
Yeah, fly Eagles fly or cry Eagles cry. That's the age-old question. As the resident Birds fan, I am mad about just about everyone on this team is to blame. Nick Sirianni, what are you doing treating these NFL games like it's Friday Night Lights? And then you bring your kid into the media room to dodge questions about your decisions. Is he overstepping? Is he on the hot seat? I don't know. The guy has a 37-19 record as a coach, which isn't too shabby. And then, is it Jalen Hurts' fault? How many red zone turnovers are you going to have? And then you just go and drop a motivational quote on us like it's nothing. When is he going to start learning how to speak Bill Belichick? This team can beat teams like the Bills and Chiefs, but then they lose to Giants and Cardinals and can barely survive against the 1-4 Browns. Guys, who's to blame for the most volatile team in the NFL? Sirianni, Hurts, and why is it Kenny Pickett's fault?
Honestly, couldn't agree more, Cam, especially that Kenny Pickett point. But gentlemen, I'll break it out to you guys.
I think this is the issue is Nick Sirianni. I think that he's being carried by having a great roster right now, but he's not a good coach like I think a lot of us thought he was maybe a couple years ago, because he's supposed to be this offensive guy, but this offense, especially in the first quarter, is god awful. They have not scored a single point this whole year, not a field goal, not nothing. They need to start faster, because it's an issue when you are playing only 3 quarters of offense while the team you're playing against is playing 4 quarters. You cannot play winning football like that, and they cannot be Super Bowl contenders like they were in years past if they are continuing to play offense like this. They need to do something different, and they need to fire Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, and you're saying that the Eagles' offense is only playing 3 quarters of offense. Their defense is playing 0 quarters of defense. They're 30th ranked in the league in points and yards. This team's defense, they have the pieces. They have good linebackers. They have a good pass rush. They have a good secondary.
They have what we thought a good defensive coordinator too. They brought in Vic Fangio this offseason. I'm really lost on what's happening with the Eagles.
You know whose fault this still is? Matt Patricia is still a part of this team's defensive scheme as a senior defensive assistant. I mean, if this team's going to get better, first they have to fire Sirianni. The dude's an immature scumbag.
Yeah.
All he does is jaw at the fans, talk on social media, and just bring his kids in to dodge questions like Cam said. I mean, this guy, he might know the X's and O's. I don't think he does, but he certainly isn't the personality of someone I want leading my football team.
Yeah. The Eagles, if they want to continue to capitalize on this team they have right now, because this roster, I think we can all agree, is a great one.
The roster's amazing.
Yeah. Fire Nick Sirianni. Fire Nick Sirianni.
This all started whenever he finally started calling the plays. Something you got to think about. But if we're moving west down I-76, taking it down to the Burgh, Pittsburgh Steelers are off to a hot start, sitting at 4-2 and sitting second in the AFC North. After a preseason injury to veteran QB Russell Wilson, who was set to start in Week 1, Justin Fields has taken the helm and led this offense thus far this season. However, Russell Wilson is back in full participant in practice, as well as taking first-team reps over Justin Fields, despite the hot start and the team's first time scoring over 30 points since New Year's Eve. I gotta ask, is now a good time to switch the QB? Caden, what do you think about this?
I'm going to look right in the camera when I say this. Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, what are you doing? You have 4/5 of your offensive line that's dealing with injuries, and you're putting in a quarterback who's old. He's 35. He can't run anymore. He used to be a good runner, but you saw in Denver, he can't do it anymore. Taking a guy who can't see over the middle of the field with receivers who can't get separation, you expect that to be better? The best situation you could possibly have right now is a running quarterback back there. We have the second best one in the league statistically.
It's worked so far.
And it's also a thing of, if they bring in Russell Wilson, right, they're going to have to change their offensive game plan. And to me, it makes no sense to do that in the middle of a season, especially when this quarterback who has played thus far is 4-2 right now. This makes no sense to me. He's playing the best ball of his career. The whole team is behind him. The whole city is behind him. I do not understand the change up right now. And if Russell Wilson comes in and he's played bad, what, you just going to insert Justin Fields back in there after you just basically told him we don't believe in you? Yeah, you're ruining his confidence. There are only 3 reasons that I can see why they would be benching Justin Fields. And that is, 1, they legitimately think that they have a better chance with Russell Wilson. 2, in the deal that they made with the Bears, if Fields plays more than 51% of snaps, the 6th-round pick that they traded for him turns into a 4th. And then 3, they're just stupid. Those are the only 3 reasons why they would bench Justin Fields.
And also, oh my goodness, giving up a 4th-round pick for a near top 10 level quarterback. Oh, such a big thing to give up.
And that's if that is the reason. We don't know if it's the reason or not yet.
It's just, this team makes absolutely no sense.
No, it's stupid
Offensively
idiocracy. Idiocracy, and I just don't get it. You're putting in a guy that has been dealing with injuries the whole year, that has not proved that he can connect well with this team yet, because we just haven't seen it. And you're taking out the guy who's been the Cinderella story this whole year, who's been putting this team on the back, and really is one of the main reasons the Steelers are winning games, because they're not throwing the ball particularly well, especially like throwing touchdown-wise. Most of the offensive touchdowns are coming from rushing plays from Justin Fields. So I just don't understand it.
His way of escaping the pocket is definitely not to be taken lightly. So I just want to say thank you, gentlemen, for all your takes, and I'm looking forward to see how they turn out as the season goes on. When we come back, the NBA season is back, baby.
Bring it.
I could not hear.
Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home.
Okay. Bye, guys.
You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one?
I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars.
Wow.
But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Shifting over from the turf to the court. It's that time of the year. It's time to talk some NBA basketball. Joining us now is the jazzy Joey Dramasic. On my other side, he's still 2-4 in fantasy, and he's still here. He is Caden Hyde. The NBA season officially kicks off on Tuesday night with 2 games slated for that night. With the new season, that means new stars are created. So, gentlemen, who do you guys see as a major breakout player this year? Joey, you can kick it off.
All right, I'm going to go with the center for the Rockets, Alfred Sengun. He's been a player that's increased his stats every season, 21 points a game, over 9 rebounds, 5 assists per game. And also, he's got guards around him. He's got Jalen Green, that 3.5 assists per game last year, and Fred VanVleet 8 assists per game. So he's got guards to give him the ball, maybe like a pick and roll situation. Also, and then just along with the guards, they got Reed Shepard, the 3rd overall pick, Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith Jr. So there's a team around them that can honestly make him a better player. And also, there's not many centers in the NBA that are labeled as stars. You know, Embiid, Wemby, Anthony Davis, and of course the MVP, Jokic. So I think that Sengun is going to be like a baby Jokic in a way, and I think he'll be maybe the closest thing to MVP Jokic. And hey, what's bad about being close to a guy that's been labeled as an MVP for the last couple of years?
The thing is about Sengun, also, before we begin, to the folks at home, I'd like to also remind you that Brett McGulloch here is also 2-4 in fantasy, so don't let his silver tongue fool you. I believe Alperen Sengun, he's a good pick. I will say that. I've been a fan of him ever since he came out of Turkey. I will say, though, a player that's a couple hours up north in Oklahoma City is a much better candidate for breaking into stardom. That is J-Dub, Jalen Williams himself. He was a definition of efficient and just a good supplementary piece last year. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists on 52, 42, 85 splits, which is incredibly efficient. He also averaged that 42% on 3 threes a game. If he can knock those threes up, maybe get some more open looks now that you have some better like wing players around him and Alex Caruso, and then you have the big guy down in the paint in Hartenstein. And I also believe just the simple fact that Oklahoma City is going to be the best team in the league this year. You can quote me on that. I think they're going to be better than Boston. And I just think Jalen Williams, he's increased every year. His efficiency has gone up. He's become a better defender. He's put more muscle on. That 3-year jump, that third-year jump is going to happen this year to Jalen Williams.
Love your picks, gentlemen. Me personally, I went with Detroit Pistons' Jaden Ivey. Going through his stats, his first year, he had a very nice rookie season. Last year jumped down a little bit, but so far this preseason, he's put up some good numbers. So that is who I personally went with to help out this Detroit Pistons team. Gentlemen, what do you think?
I really don't think Ivey's going to take that big of a jump. I mean, his rookie year, he averaged 16 points on like 41% from the field, 30% from three. Last year, he averaged 14 points, lower in a lower role on 42% from the field and only 29% from three. And that's not something you want as a two-guard when your franchise star you're building around, Cade Cunningham, is not the best three-point shooter. Is more of a slasher himself. That and the fact that Ivey also can't play defense and he can't play make as well. And he's also be fighting for minutes with veterans like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. I don't really see how he'll improve at all this year.
Guess we'll have to wait and find out. But moving on, the NBA season kicks off in the good old city of Boston. Live from the TD Garden, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the defending NBA champs Boston Celtics, play host to Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks, with a heavy matchup leading off the season. Could this be a glimpse of the Eastern Conference Final? What do you guys think? Caden, you can start.
I think on paper, the Knicks and the Celtics are the two best teams of the East by far. I mean, below them, they're clear on a tier above everybody else, and below them you have like your Milwaukee's, your Indiana's, maybe even in Orlando Magic if Paolo Banchero keeps improving. The one thing that scares me about these two teams is the fact that the Knicks, they weren't healthy last year. And I think a big reason for that is Tom Thibodeau. He's always done this going back to his years in Chicago and Minnesota, where he plays his best players upwards of 40 minutes a night in important games and even in the regular season, which is just not something that translates well to a long playoff run. That and the fact that I think the only thing stopping Boston from making the finals this year, because I do think they're a better team than the New York Knicks, shocker, the NBA champions, the best team in their conference. I think the only thing stopping Boston from winning the finals again against maybe Oklahoma City is history. It's been just near a decade since the team last went back-to-back, and that was in 2017 and 18 with the Golden State Warriors. In the parity era that we live in now, like I said, I think the only thing stopping Boston from winning the finals is history. But going back to our original question, I do think this is on paper the most likely Eastern Conference Finals matchup.
Joe, what do you got?
I'm going to have to disagree with you with this one. I think it's going to be Cavs and Knicks. Now,
Cleveland.
That might be some of my Cleveland bias, but here's
Obviously.
why. Here's why. I think that the Cavs are going to get the 2 seed because the Knicks, Tom Thibodeau is going to do his thing. He's going to get his players hurt in the regular season, and then they're going to drop down to the 3 seed. The Cavs are going to get the 2 seed. But I think that the Knicks will be healthy this playoffs. Obviously, last season, that's why they didn't make it further than what they did. But I think that the Knicks are going to beat the Celtics in the second round, so it's going to be a Cleveland-New York matchup. And Cleveland's
Celtics a second round exit?
Cleveland.
Wow.
Cleveland 2 years ago lost in the first round. Last year lost in the second round. They're ramping up. They're ramping up to be.
They have two guards who can't play defense and two bigs who can't play offense.
Finalists this year.
This team is a definition of a near 50-win team is going to be out in the second round at best.
No,
I mean, you have Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, two small
going to play
guards
better
who
this
can't
year.
play defense.
Yeah, last year was the role players
What
like
happened in the
Garland,
playoffs? They got locked
Mobley,
up by
and Allen.
Drew
Was
Holiday.
it disappointing? Was it disappointing playoff performance for them? Yes, but I think this year it's going to be obviously led by Mitchell being in the clutch again. But I think the role players are going to bring them up to that Eastern Conference Finals level this year.
Alrighty, you guys both made great points, but so the way we started off this segment was we went over some up-and-coming talent. Now we're going to go over some established talent. LA Lakers power forward LeBron James turns 40 at the end of December. Is Father Time finally catch up to LeBron? Or will he be a top 10 talent? What do you guys think? Joey, go ahead.
Yes, LeBron will be a top 10 talent. He's going to be probably in the 8 to 9 range. Like he's starting to decline, but I think that he's also going to be considered top 10. 25 and a half points per game last year, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, just over a steal per game. I think he is the second best small forward in the NBA behind Jason Tatum, who is kind of like his mentor, but I think now he's kind of taken the spot for him. He's getting older, so I don't think he could be labeled as a top 5 player. I think top 10 is still, I think good enough. And I mean, also, he knows what it takes to win games. So I don't think the Lakers are going to be, a finals team this year, or maybe even Western Conference Finals. But I think that his play is gonna be the reason why the Lakers will do good. And also, he's LeBron. How could you not? When you think of top 10 NBA players, you're always gonna have LeBron in that conversation.
Still putting up good numbers.
Just the fact that you illuminated that LeBron averaged 25, 7, and 8 last year, and that's considered a declining season for him, is absolutely insane. And it's something that we might not have for a very much longer period of time, so we should appreciate, no matter how you feel about him. We should appreciate just how good LeBron James is. And I have a list. I think I have 9 players I can comfortably say are at or above LeBron in the rankings right now, and that's Giannis, Nikola Jokic, Luka, Steph Curry, Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Shea, and Embiid. Those are the players I can say are like at the very least tied with LeBron.
I don't think Shea is. I don't think
Really?
Shea is. I think Shea might be like a
37
spot or
and
two.
7.
I think he might be a spot or two below him.
Really?
Yeah, even though his scoring points, his scoring numbers is good. I don't think the way that LeBron dictates a basketball game. I don't think he's at that level yet.
Really? Anyway, and there are some players I believe could be ahead of him at the end of the year, like a Victor Wembanyama or Jalen Brunson. But as of right now, LeBron is still one of the best players in the league, which is insane for his age.
Doing well so far. I'll be excited to see what happens next. Coming up after the break, Joey's going to go over his top 5 clutch players in the NBA. What is Caden going to have to say? So don't go away.
Let's see women's basketball.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something that can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. All right, Joey, it's your time to shine. Let's go over your top 5 clutch players.
All right, I'm going to get straight into it. I'm going to start in the City of Trees with the player in my 5 slot, DeMar DeRozan, a player who is willing and able to have the ball in their hands when the game is on the line, is a player that I want on my team. Even though this isn't the 2021-2022 season where it seemed like he was hitting game winners left and right and most of them being buzzer beaters, he's still that guy. A guy who shot 48% in the clutch, 46.7% beyond the arc, and 87% from the line, scoring 210 clutch points last season, which is the second highest in the league. Is definitely a player that I would want on my team, and creating space is essential. And if in the clutch there's no other options except to find a way to score yourself, I would want DeMar DeRozan, plain and simple. Coming at number 4, the 2023-2024 NBA's Clutch Player of the Year, the man who single-handedly beat France in the gold medal game this summer, hitting 4 threes in the final 3 minutes. The last one being the craziest three in basketball. The chef, Steph Curry. The Clutch Player of the Year last year needs to be on the list, scoring 212 points in the clutch, which led the league while shooting almost 50%, 45% from 3, and nearly 96% from the line, and 33 points with less than 24 seconds in the game left, deserved that award. Always being handed the ball at the end of the game, knowing that the ball is in his hands. The Warriors just might have enough chance to win. However, there will be a few players ahead of him. One of those players being the King of New York, the Villanova alum who carried the Knicks all season, Jalen Brunson. At 41% while shooting 120 points in the clutch wasn't good enough. His playoff performance unleashed an entirely new player that was full of clutch. 49 points in the clutch, which I want to specify was the highest mark last season in the playoffs, shooting at his season average 41% in the playoffs, and having to carry the injured Knicks to the second round, almost taking down the Pacers. Now, they have to beat the Celtics? No. But almost putting Spike Lee and the whole city of New York on his back, took them to the conference, take them to the conference finals, which have been their first since 2000. Brunson is a whole new player now in the clutch, which is why he is my number 3. Coming in at number 2, the man who came into Cleveland with high hopes of taking them back to the promised land, Spida Donovan Mitchell. If you ever watched a Cleveland Cavs game that is close in the past 2 seasons, more than likely Donovan Mitchell was the man with the ball. Now Garland is the 2 man in those kind of situations, but when you are a star like Mitchell and you live for those moments, your whole career, to be trusted enough to be the man in the clutch, to make a play for your team, is exactly what Mitchell is for the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell takes advantage of the fatigue of his opponents towards the end of the game and takes it to the rack, and is good enough has a good enough jumper to knock down shots behind the arc to lead the Cavs into the closing minutes of games. Even though he's only scored 92 points in the clutch last season, 12 of them being in the playoffs, he missed 29 games, including 2 of them in the last 2 games of the Celtics series, which is why that number is so low. If he would have been in most of those games last year, his point total in the clutch would have been much higher and up there with the other guys at the top of the list. Donovan Mitchell has a great team around him, but when it comes to the clutch time, Mitchell is the player I trust for the Cavs. And with at number 1 spot, my most clutch player in the NBA. He runs the streets down in Dallas. Took the Mavericks to the finals last season. Luka Doncic is my most clutch player in the NBA. Luka's clutch time career is one like no one else. His memorable 3 against the Clippers in Game 4 in the bubble. His mid-air shot versus the Knicks 2 seasons ago to tie the game. His 3 last season against the Knicks, looking like a baby Kareem skyhook. And those are just a few. His 92 clutch time points last season, with 22 of them being in the playoffs, helped the Mavericks get to their first finals since 2011. The Mavericks' playoff road was challenging, battling the Clippers and Thunder in both 6-game series, meeting the red-hot Timberwolves and beating them in 5, which was with help of Luka's 3 over Gobert in Game 2 that pushed the Mavericks over the Wolves, where they would fall short of the Celtics. But if it wasn't Luka being clutch all season, they would not be in the situation. Luka Doncic is the most clutch player in the NBA, and unless one of the players on my list, or a player I stubbed off my list, changed my mind this season, Luka deserves Mr. Clutch, the most clutch player in the NBA.
All right, Caden, you're looking a little antsy. Get in on this.
Now, Joey, I don't know if anyone informed you, but you're not supposed to be biased towards your hometown team on this show. First, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I don't think it's so biased, though.
First, you have the Cleveland. Let me talk. You had your time. Now, time for mine. You had the Cleveland Cavaliers making the Eastern Conference Finals. Now you have Donovan Mitchell, who you didn't even get a decent stat. Yes, I did, and that guy was a good clutch player. But top 5, where's Kyrie? Where's Nikola Jokic? Where's Damian Lillard? Donovan Mitchell over them.
But this is the top 5
Donovan Mitchell over DeMar DeRozan and Steph Curry. Are you kidding me?
This is the top 5 list, not top 10.
Yeah, top 5, but you have a guy who shouldn't even be in the top 10 in the top 5 at number 2.
Who?
Are you serious?
Not in the top 10? Who?
Are you serious?
Who would you?
Okay, I'll give you top 10. We got Jokic. We got not Giannis. We have Jokic. We have Luka. We have Curry. We have Kyrie Irving. We have all those other players I'm not going to get to right now because we don't have time. But dude, you're insane. Are you kidding me?
All right. That's going to do it for our show this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next week for some more spicy hot takes.